Folks, we're back, and this is the 11 o'clock hour. I'm Joe Messino. I'm here with you today for my presentation on tissue analysis versus blood analysis. And we're going to get into a little detail on this whole thing and lead us into the 12 o'clock workshop, which is going to be interactive. But first, I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining us here at the Winter Wonderland. The crowd is great here in the store. We've got massage chairs going on over here with Andrea. She's got a line, but it's not long because it's about a 5-minute massage. And we got samples, and we've got Protocino. Well, we've got a Protocino. How's that Protocino over there, Kylie? Good? Anyway, we're festive. We're having a great time already. It's day one, and it's already phenomenal. Food trucks outside, the Ariza food trucks there, great organic food, grass-fed beef, pastured chicken and eggs. So come on down, folks. We're going to be here all day, and it's a beautiful day outside. Sunny, a little cool, but sunny. We've got guests up from Florida, and they're even enjoying the sunny Pittsburgh weather. So let's get into today's topic. You know, when you hear about blood testing, or when you hear about testing in general, you know, everybody's first thought is going to go to blood, right? Blood test. I mean, you go to your doctors, that's all they do is blood test, blood test, blood test. And that's good. And it's needed. And there's some times when it's the absolute essential thing to do. In the natural health side of the industry, you know, the gold standard was always hair analysis, urine analysis, you know, sometimes, you know, just eye analysis. And then, of course, you know, we had face, tongue, and eye analysis workshops we've done in the past. But these are all non-invasive methods of testing. But the new gold standard for non-invasive testing is tissue testing. And I said non-invasive, and that's very, very important. So what we're going to discuss today is the differences between tissue analysis and blood analysis. Okay. Now, it's going to be in regards to three main topics, and those are the things we've been talking about for a long time. What are they? Toxicity, deficiency, and oxidative stress. What's oxidative stress? The beginning of all degenerative disease, free radical damage. Well, we now have a way of testing what's going on in our cells, tissue density for all of these things, and that's tissue analysis. Now, are we toxic? Come on, okay? The Department of Agriculture has been saying that the soil is depleted of its mineral and vitamin content only since 1937. Well, that's a long, long time ago. Now, if it was depleted then, and the Department of Agriculture actually went to Congress and said, guess what? We have a problem. That problem is there's the mineral and vitamin content in the soil is depleted. Well, if you can guess, Congress, guess what they did about it? Nothing, of course. So it was depleted then. We know that magnesium is the number one most depleted mineral in the country, hands down, and it's responsible for over 200 metabolic processes in the body. So those are processes that are not working at an optimal level, and maybe not at all, because their key nutrient, magnesium, is deplenished. It's not there. We've got to supplement with it. Omega-3 fatty acids is probably the single most non-vitamin mineral nutrient we are deficient in. And it's so important. Two of the major categories of health, cardiovascular and neurological. I mean, when it comes to aging, you know, are there any two factors more important than cardiovascular and neurological, brain health? And the central nutrient there is omega-3 fatty acids. And we are at a serious depletion rate for omega-3 fatty acids. I mean, D3 and K2, come on. We know that this nation is And now I think the whole world is deficient in D3. That has become evident over the last year and a half. I keep saying last year and a half. It's going on 2 years, okay, with this thing out there. But D3 deficiency is at the heart and soul of it. And did you know that, there are studies on PubMed that even talk about it. There are studies that talk about how people who get sick with this virus, their survival rate is astronomically higher if their D3 level, serum D3 level, is at a certain amount, 50 nanograms per milliliter. Now, we've always said D3 should be at 60 to 80, 60 to 90 nanograms per milliliter. That's in a blood test. But now we also have a way of showing the concentration of D3 in our cells, in tissues. That's even more important, and you're going to find out why in a little bit. K2 is probably the up-and-comer. This is the new kid on the block when it comes to deficiencies. Why? Because the number one source of it is grass-fed beef products. Yes, grass-fed has made a resurgence over the last couple of years. And I think our industry has played a big part in that resurgence, because the only way you get vitamin K2, which is the nutrient that's more important than even calcium when it comes to bone health, the only way you get it is from cows who eat grass, and you eat the food products from those cows. Vitamin K1 is in the grass. When a cow eats that grass, he ferments it into K2. When we eat those grass-fed beef products, we get vitamin K2. Now, look, you can also get it by fermenting your own sauerkraut, but how many of you do that? Okay? All right, but there are ways of getting it, but it's through fermentation, where we are extremely deficient in it. Let's talk about toxicity now. Okay, we know we're deficient in vitamins and minerals. That's a given. If we just look at the standard American diet, but what about toxicities? There's so many different kinds. Chemical toxicities. Now, when I say chemical, what do you think of first? When you say chemical, the first thing that comes to your mind is probably, something in a lab, that was made to hurt you. But I got news for you. It's in your entire environment. Okay, in the majority of the food products that most people out there are consuming are filled with chemicals, and every single chemical, make no mistake, every single chemical in a food is a toxin. It's not a food. It's not inert. It has to do something, and it's a toxin. It's synthetic. Your body cannot process it, cannot recognize it. Every single chemical in every food you consume is a toxin. I wish it ended there. It doesn't. The water supply, fluoride and chlorine. Okay, the bread supply, the baked goods supplies, filled with bromide. That's a toxin. It replaced iodine many years ago. We never had iodine deficiencies or thyroid issues when iodine was added to baked goods. And then let's talk about drugs a little bit, okay? Because most people still think that if they buy something over the counter in Walgreens or Costco or their local drugstore, that's okay, because it's over the counter, it's safe. It's still a chemical, it's still synthetic, it's still a toxin in the body, and it will build up if you can't eliminate it. Now, obviously, prescribed medications are at the top of the list. But over the counters, they're right up there with them. They may be worse because you have complete access to them. You don't have to go to a doctor. You don't have to get a prescription. We eat them like candy sometimes. And that's where the toxicity is at its strongest. It doesn't end there either. Soaps, detergents, cleaning products for your home. You know, Jeff was just on, right? I don't know if he said it during his presentation or not, Jeff Nisnik. But, I've heard him say this many times. Don't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't put in your mouth. Think about that and how scary that is for most of the things that you're putting on your skin, right? Coconut oil is great. You can eat it. Put it on your skin, right? All essential oils are good. They won't hurt you if they're ingested. What about, shampoos and soaps? You can find coconut bar shampoos and soaps. But the majority of the things we put on our skin are all toxins. They're getting through the skin. They're getting into the blood. The buildup is there. Then there's the invisible toxins. Okay? All right, are we going sci-fi here? No, we're not going sci-fi. We're going reality here. Invisible toxins are in the form of electromagnetic field radiation. Plain and simple, that's it. All there is to it. Where do you get that? You get it from these. You get it from these flat screen laptops. You get it from your iPads, your tablets, your big screen TVs. Anything that has a flat screen is going to emit EMFs, electromagnetic field radiation. What we have to do is try to limit our exposure to that radiation. Limit your exposure. Get devices that will help protect you from that exposure. If you're using a cellular phone, make sure it has some sort of a device that blocks the release of that electromagnetic field radiation from the phone to you. You can't stop it coming into the phone, or the phone won't work. But you can stop it from coming out and affecting you. That's what these devices do. You can get them for your phones. You can get them for your tablets and your iPads, your screens. You can get them for your routers at home. Anything that involves wireless technology is giving off EMFs. And that's invisible toxicity. It's that important. You can buy things to wear, okay? Like this, okay? This is shungite. This protects you from EMFs. I have everybody in my family wearing these because everybody uses these devices. Okay, so are you toxic? Are you deficient? You'll know if you are. Here's the problem. The problem is most people are seeing this as being normal. Poor sleep, sluggish behavior, brain fog, weight gain you can't explain, or even weight loss you can't explain. These are things that most people just say, that's just part of getting old. That's what their doctor says. My doctor said, that's normal, I'm just getting old. Wrong. Fire your doctor if that's what they say. Find a new one that's going to help you relieve the toxins and build up those reservoirs of deficiency. It's going to help you get back on the path to optimal health. You got GI issues? You're toxic. It's that simple. If your bowel movements are not as frequent as your meals, you're toxic. What does that mean? Simple. If you eat one meal a day, you should have one bowel movement a day. If you eat 3 meals, you should have 3 the next day. If you're not, you're toxic. Okay, so there's a lot of toxicity out there, isn't there? Yeah, you don't have to admit it, but there's a lot of toxicity out there. Any skin disorders, any energy, loss of energy, hormonal issues, all of these things show toxicity and deficiency. Toxicity and deficiency, those are the 2 causes of disease. All of the major practitioners in functional medicine will tell you that the 2 causes of disease are toxicity and deficiency. And usually it's not either or, usually it's both at the same time. So, tissue analysis, blood analysis. Which one is better for these 2 issues? Most people are unfamiliar with tissue analysis. Why would we use it? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Salute. Proteicino. Want the recipe? Give us a call. How is tissue analysis different from blood analysis? That's the big question, right? Okay, you got to look at it like this. Your blood flows constantly through your body. It's constantly moving. Okay, so it's moving and it's active. And they call it like the highway of the body. Whereas your tissue is not. Tissue is more stagnant. And it's going to build up. And it's going to build up in 2 ways. One is it's going to build up your supply of nutrients. your minerals and vitamins so that you can use them when you need them. But the other way it builds is in toxicity. Toxins, heavy metals build in the tissues. In the tissues, more so than the blood, because that's stagnant. It's there. It can't move. In the blood, you have a chance of getting rid of it. In urine, you have a chance of getting rid of it. Even hair analysis from years ago, that was the gold standard. But usually hair analysis is 3 months old. What we want to know is what's going on right now. What's in the living tissue of your body? And now we have a way to determine that. Because vitamins and minerals, once they go through the bloodstream and into the organs where they're needed, their final resting place is in the tissue. Toxins that your liver cannot get rid of, they have a final resting place too, in the tissue. That's why it's so important to measure tissue analysis. Sometimes, a blood test is going to show normal, where a tissue analysis will not. And that's because of what we just explained. Blood's flowing. And when you take a blood sample, it shows what's flowing through the body. It doesn't show the reserves, and it doesn't show the buildup in the tissue. Okay, so keep that in mind. Heavy metals. And the test that we're going to talk about here, the oligoscan, obviously, it tests 15 different heavy metals. Now, when we do these tests, we see the usual suspects every single time. Aluminum, silver, mercury, always at the top of the list. Sometimes we'll see others that are, not quite as common, but when we dig into the lifestyle, we kind of find out where it came from. Whether you eat, what you're doing, if you've had MRIs, if you had any kind of testing done like that, it's going to show up in the tissues. So again, let's differentiate blood testing versus tissue testing. So blood testing gives you a minute-by-minute reading. What's going on right now live in the body, okay? The chemistry that is there. It's going to be affected by what you drank. It's going to be affected by what you ate. It's going to be affected by your exercise and your sleep. It's affected by all of those things, blood tests. That's why even if you look at the example of sugar testing, okay, you can do a fasting glucose, but that's only going to show you what you did the day before. So if you know how to work the test, you can make sure that comes out good because it's only showing you a 24-hour period. Whereas hemoglobin A1C shows you a 3-month picture. Okay, so it's still blood, but it's still showing you a better example of what blood sugar is doing in your body, where it is. So let's take tissue analysis and look at that as the next level of testing because it's going to show you what's stagnant, what's in there. And remember, 2 things. It's either in there and it's helping you because it's a reservoir, or it's in there and it's hurting you because it's a buildup of toxicity. So what this is, folks, it's very simple, this device. This is called an oligoscan. It uses the technology of spectrophotometry. That's the measurement of light. It's that simple. All chemicals, natural, synthetic, heavy metals, vitamins, minerals, doesn't matter. Everything that has a chemical structure absorbs light in a specific range. That's what we're going to measure. And this program that's been around now for about 10 years, and it has been modified and improved over the last year. That's why we actually brought it back, because of the improvements. But they have already determined the algorithms of how these 15 metals, 21 minerals, and 7 vitamins absorb light. So by taking a photograph using the device of your tissue in 4 different spots on the palm, it's that simple. It takes literally seconds to gather the information. It takes a couple of minutes for the program to process it, and then you get a complete readout of what's going on in the tissues of your body. It's one of the most fascinating things I've seen. It's something that we are using now on a regular basis here at the World of Wellness. This gives you a little idea there. That's a picture of the bottom, showing you how this actually, that's the camera. That's all that is a little camera that photographs light. But it is quantitative in its reading. What does that mean? Well, that means that it's going to show something over time. That's very important because, as we said, this is something, blood tests show what's going on right now. Tissue analysis shows what has built up over months and maybe even years in your body. So that's the biggest difference. Those are the 4 points of the hand that are scanned, as I just showed you on my hand. Okay, scan those 4 points. The device is really idiot proof. It tells you when to move to the next location on the hand. You can't make a mistake. The algorithm and the program does all the work after that. And then up on the screen, it's going to give us the report. We have some examples of the report. Of course, minerals, toxic metals, and oxidative stress. And now, even this slide is a little outdated because it now also shows concentration in the tissues of 7 different vitamins. And you'll see that in a minute. This is what a mineral test might look like. Okay, so you can see the minerals there, from calcium to fluoride. Look at the iodine. You're going to see a series of lines: red, green, yellow. The green lines mean you're in a good range. The yellow means caution, just like in the stoplight, right? It's going to mean caution. You got to take a look. And red means we got a problem. You better stop what you're doing and change something in your lifestyle right now because we got a problem. Major, major problem with a deficiency. If the red line is in the mineral test, that means an extreme deficiency, which is going to cause health issues. Okay? If you see the red line in the toxic metals, then you have an extreme toxicity. And the one we see most of all is that red line on mercury. And you might say, well, wait a minute. I haven't had a filling in, 20 years. That proves our point. It's still there. And then guess what? As you age and the enamel on your teeth starts to wear away and it exposes that filling. It's exposing the mercury and it's going to be absorbed. It's a fume that'll get absorbed into your body. The tissue concentration doesn't go away until we pull it out, until we detox, until we chelate those heavy metals out of the tissues, get them back into the liver, then support the liver to remove them from the body. And that's, what we were talking about earlier today with detoxification programs and protocols. One of the ones I want you to take a look at here is at the very bottom. It's called Gadolinium. Most people have never heard of it. But you know where it's abundant? In MRIs. So if I see a high gadolinium marker, the first thing I ask them is, have you ever had an MRI? And the answer is always yes. Because that chemical is still in your body. And it's a toxin. Aluminum, we see many times very high. We've used it in cookware, cans, food, everything, you name it. You still use aluminum foil? Sure we do. Yeah, I still use it. I don't use it all the time. I don't use it every day, but once in a while. Okay, but how many people use aluminum foil their whole lives? How many wrapped every single piece of leftover in aluminum foil and then ate it? Okay, cooked with it, put it on something in the oven. You don't think that heat is going to draw out any of that metal? It's going to put it right into your food? Sure it is. On this test, you see silver very high. Okay, not in the excess column yet, but inching up very high. We're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of that in injectables, okay, vaccines. You're going to see a lot of mercury from that source as well. Cadmium is another one. Cadmium goes up, and sometimes it's from something you think you're doing right. One of the highest sources of cadmium in our diet is brown rice, right? Everybody thinks, well, brown rice is healthier than white rice, but it's loaded with cadmium. And guess what? White rice is not. Yeah, maybe that bleaching process, does some good. I don't know. But it's about balance, folks. It doesn't mean you should never eat brown rice. It doesn't mean you should never eat white rice. It means you should balance your diet and lifestyle. And the Eliga scan is going to show us this. Now, here's the vitamins it now shows. This was something it didn't have, a few years back. And now it shows these. We have vitamin A, B6, B9, B12, vitamin C, vitamin D, and vitamin E. All essential, right? The major B vitamins are in there. Of course, vitamin D, if you look at this particular test, you can see that the D level is in the tissue, is in the red zone. Danger. And now we're seeing the consequences of that all over the world, not just in this country. We used to think that the D3 deficiency was really limited to our continental United States, that other countries were getting an ample amount of D3, but it's not the case. They're not. It's all over the world, a D3 deficiency. And it hasn't been just in the last year and a half. For years we've been saying that you shouldn't be calling it cold and flu season. You should be calling it D3D season. D3 deficiency season. That's what it is. So we're deficient. Look at that. Okay. It also shows you some of the major ratios. The CalMag, calcium phosphorus, sodium potassium is a good one. Because most of the time, if I see that ratio off, I'll ask them, number one, are you hydrated? Is your pH in line? Because many times, if that ratio is off, that's the problem. It's either hydration or pH balance. Then I'm going to send them to Ashley, Dr. Ashley Rossi, so she can do pH study on them along with the Zytoscan. So that's a very important ratio. Copper and zinc, that's a very important ratio. We see the deficiency in zinc all the time. You know what? I'm going to go back up to the minerals for a second because I want you to take a look at one mineral in particular here, and that's selenium. Most of the time, we see a deficiency in selenium. Selenium is that important for your immune system. Robert Scott Bell's going to be on later today, and he's done professional training events for us where he has said unequivocally that selenium is the number one nutrient you need for your immune system, for breast cancer, for prostate cancer, for all types of cancer. Immune health is reliant upon selenium. And in this particular test, selenium is dangerously low. So there are going to be immune issues. Then, the Eliga scan, okay, it's available. Guess what? I'm going to make the big announcement, Phil. Billy Phil's been taking pictures this whole time, but he's not even on my good side. He's over here. He's supposed to be over here.
Right over there.
Oh, okay. I got a little audience here. Let's hear the audience. Hey! Woo! So what we're going to do in the 12 o'clock hour in our workshop at 12, I'm going to take 3 volunteers, and I'm going to do a live Eliga scan on them for free. Now, we charge $99 here. That's a discounted price. It's normally $159 to $199 in most offices for this test. We charge $99. I'm going to do 3 free ones at the 12 o'clock hour right here. All you have to do, anybody listening, you want a free Eliga scan test. You want to find your deficiencies and your toxicities. You want to see your markers for cardiovascular health, for diabetes, for immune health, for hormonal health, for neurological health, for emotional health. It's going to show you all those things. If you want to see that, you got to sign up. I'll take 3 people. Now, here's the caveat. You have to agree to do it on camera. And we need your blood type, height, weight, date of birth, and gender. Okay? And we only get 2 choices on the gender. Just saying. But those are the things we need. I'll take 3 people. If we can fit in more, we may take more. But I figure we can do a nice analysis at 15 minutes apiece. We'll do 3 people free illegal scan testing at the 12 o'clock hour. Okay, so stay tuned for that. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we're going to get into more detail on it in the next hour. Question? Yes.
So those vitamins that you showed, is that the only ones that it shows? Or is there more?
Currently, those are the only 7 that it shows. Correct. Yes. Before, we didn't show any vitamins, but that has been improved, and it'll continue to improve. You know, they have to develop the algorithms first, and that, unfortunately, does take some time. Some are more easily available than others. Any other questions? That's it. Okay, folks, we'll see you back here at 12 noon. Hope you enjoyed this. Keep an attitude of gratitude, everybody. You will live long and prosper.